things have returned to normal. Well, I transferred at a pretty unusual time, and I can hardly say that I had a normal first few weeks here. I guess it's more like things have calmed down and reached normality. I've been here longer than I thought. It's hard not to think about all the stuff I must have missed in this school before my arrival, or the things that might have happened in my old school since I've been gone. I wonder where these feelings come from, since I didn't leave much behind. I have a lot more here that I like. If that wasn't the case, then I wouldn't even bothered with something like the student council or Shizune and Misha. I would be hard-pressed to care about anything if this school was how I imagined it would be. So even this feeling of a daily routine makes me glad in a way. I dread the amount of work that's going to hit me in student council after school, enough to want to consider stepping out on my duties, just this once. Yet it's nice to feel like there is something I can do. Shizune drops a stack of attendance sheets next to me. Thanks again for helping me out.
Thanks again, Hee-chan.
Sure, it is a lot of work though. I had to skip out on sign language class again, but now I'm at a level where I can understand most of Shizune and Misha's conversations with each other, so I'm not too bothered by it. Shizune still doesn't know that though. I'm determined to keep things that way until I'm very sure of my skills. Perhaps it's a little childish of me. Tanabata is in less than 5 days, but they're only going to start building the stalls tomorrow.
Hee-chan, we might have to help out with building stalls again starting tomorrow.
Why? What was the point of taking them apart then? That took days, didn't it?
Yep, that's right. Even though Hee-chan wasn't there for it.
I would have helped out if you asked. It wouldn't have made sense to bore you with cleanup duty after you enjoyed the festival so much. Aww.
It wouldn't have made sense to bore you with making you clean up right after the festival. It would have ruined the fun.
Besides...
Hee-chan is lazy anyway. You would have tried to run away again. Hee-chan doesn't like playing foxhound.
Ah, that stings. It's not far from the truth though. Shizune covers her mouth with her hand and starts shaking. It takes me a second to realize she's laughing. Yeah, what? This is not something Shizune does. She's laughing. Mostly because she's doing it so completely soundless. It's a little strange to see, but more or less the same good-spirited kind as Misha's, without being eardrum piercing.
That's a good question though, Hee-chan.
Huh?
Stalls!
It's a storage issue. The school doesn't have anywhere to store so many stalls. Since each one is pretty large, they won't pay for outside storage either. So this is what they decided on. It's inefficient but cheaper.
Because the school doesn't have anywhere to store that many stalls, Hee-chan. Yeah, right. They do, but they don't want to pay. Sorry, Hee-chan.
It's because of the previous generation. Wow, she sounds like an old woman. The leadership decided that storage or outside storage costs had risen too much, and the student council before us was too weak-willed to tell them that it's stupid to have to build and disassemble 60 stalls twice every year. Wow, I'm surprised nobody actually said anything about that. That just sounds so incredibly inefficient.
Okay. Hee-chan, let's eat something. It feels like we've been working all day.
Why is the only thing that we're doing is I feel like 75% of the time is we're eating or drinking tea, and the rest of the time we're doing student council stuff. Now that I think about it, I am hungry. I should have had lunch, but it was really crowded today for some reason, so I decided it wasn't worth the trouble.
It was like that today because they had some especially interesting things for sale on the side.
Like what? No, don't tell me. I guess it doesn't matter, since I won't be able to eat them anyway. Yeah, and if she's going to tell us, then we're actually, gonna look forward to like, oh, I would have wanted that, but I can't eat it anymore, damn it. And then we'll get hungry, wanting to eat something that we can't eat. Shizune looks oddly pleased with herself. I wonder what the context of that could be. I prepared ahead of time for this. Beaming with self-satisfaction, she produces a wide assortment of food from her bag. I can immediately see that 90% of it, or more, was taken from the lunchroom. Wow, she prepared so much, she just grabbed everything that she saw in the lunchroom, like, I'm gonna take this. There's a lot, as well. Isn't there a limit on how much a person can buy? That means these gains are definitely ill-gotten. The veal cutlet bread is always sold out in the first minute of lunch. I'm impressed you managed to obtain one. Thank you. I reach for it quickly, but Shizune immediately makes a grab for it as well. Oh no, please, okay, let's share. Cut it in half. Her hand goes slack for a second when it touches mine, but she immediately pushes forth with redoubled effort, that blazing, competitive spirit flashing dangerously in her eyes. Her fingers pry at mine, searching for an opening. Oh no, this is my veal cutlet. I don't budge an inch, prepared to fight for this bread with my life. I might never have another chance to eat this. I am fully aware that if we continue like this, we could crush the bread, greatly reducing its edibility. But this is no longer about the food, this is about pride. Misha, tell her that unless she lets go, the bread is going to be crushed.
Why can't you do it yourself?
I'm startled she can so nonchalantly let slip that I could communicate with Shizune just fine if I wanted to. I almost considered the possibility it was intentional, but I'm sure she was just distracted, trying to tear the wrapper off of a juice box straw. Isn't it obvious? I can't let go of the bread.
I can't tell Shi-chan that then.
She puts her palms up to the sky and shrugs, a wild grin on her face. Oh my god, Misha, please don't toy with us. Why not?
Because you have a stake in this, so I can't trust you. If Shi-chan wants to reply, she has to let go of the bread, and then you win. Who knows? Maybe that's what you want, Hi-chan. It wouldn't be fair, so I'm going to be neutral.
Like Switzerland. Switzerland is always neutral. Switzerland?
Do you know about Switzerland?
Yeah, they're like, they're just the country that's always in the middle of all the World War I and II, but they didn't do shit, pretty much. Of course I do. It's neutral. They're neutral. Shizune stares at me cockily, the tip of her tongue sticking out slightly from between her teeth as she continues to tug firmly at the veal cutlet bread between us. Really, can't we just share? Share the love, share the wealth, share the food? Suddenly, she lets go and holds her hands up, palms facing outwards, the universal gesture of peace. This seems like a poor way to settle this, doesn't it? And we might crush the bread. She realized it herself, of course. She glares, and her passive expression quickly plummets into a disapproving grimace.
Hi-chan, drop the bread. We are negotiating now.
I drop the bread reluctantly. Misha's hand darts in from the side, her fingers drumming across the table as it makes its way over.
Don't mind me. I don't even really like veal. I'll just take this sandwich right here. And something to drink too.
Picking them up cautiously, she immediately retreats. She's not gonna eat it, right? She's just gonna hold on while we negotiate. She has the right idea. I could just pick something else. There are lots of delicious things here. The chicken katsudon bread is also a popular seller, ranking high in taste and demand, but I've already eaten one before. You're so immature, Hisao. This wouldn't be a problem if you would pick something else. The chicken katsudon bread is delicious, says the other immature person.
You're so immature, Hi-chan. Why don't you pick the chicken katsudon bread instead? It's delicious.
But I've already eaten that.
Hi-chan, Why are you so obsessed with eating the veal cutlet bread specifically?
It's hard to get normally. Rare things are more delicious. You are acting like a child.
You're acting like a kid, Hee-chan.
Why don't you eat the chicken bread, huh? That's not important, because you're also acting like a child, Shizune. Turning bright red, she smiles cunningly and continues. There is no reasoning with you, so it looks like there's only one way to settle this. We are going to play for it. What are we gonna play?
That doesn't matter. We'll play for it instead.
Somehow, I expected this. It is the logical conclusion. Shizune has been studying for a long time, pretty much continuously up until now, and with our finals over, I guess that surplus energy has to go somewhere. Play what? The oldest game known to man, upon which the faith of nations has been known to rest. Rock, paper, scissors, really?
We'll play rock, paper, scissors.
Wow, the way Shizune said it made it sound more epic, and then Misha just like,
rock, paper, scissors. Really? That sounds so serious, Shi-chan.
I am actually the rock, paper, scissor king, champion of kings. That's right. There is no humor in her expression. She is dead set on this. Okay. She draws her hand back, and I mirror her. Go! Scissors. We both put out rock. Damn it, I would have lost. God damn it. We both put out rock. A draw. I thought that I had the perfect plan. Rock is unbeatable. Unless you're up against paper. Do you even know the rules, Hisao? Shizune frowns, deeply upset by this unexpected turn of events. Not as planned? Unless we're both thinking like, oh, rock is unbeatable. But if we both do rock, then, we just are smashing rocks against each other, and that could work. Then, if you were to do it literally, just smashing rocks against each other, the one who ends up having the biggest piece of rock wins. But then it's not really rock, paper, scissors anymore. Then it's just smashing rocks against each other. Again. 2 papers. Damn. Again, 2 scissors. We both throw out 2 rocks again. Why every time I throw out scissors, they freaking do rock? We both throw out 2 rocks again, but a third hand is among us, representing scissors. That's not fair, you're not supposed to join Misha, unless this is Shizune's second hand and she's trying to cheat.
This looks like fun. Can I play? It's a duel, Shi-chan. Dueling conduct? You're right. I really don't know.
She's mad. The faster she signs, the harder it is to follow. In fact, it looks like even Misha's having trouble keeping up. What's she talking about? One more time. We tie again. Every single time, Shizune demands a rematch, eventually skipping that step altogether and throwing rock, paper, scissors out with increasingly reckless abandon. Even playing completely randomly, we continue to tie. This is a mathematical long shot, really? That's why you play rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock? Misha hovers above us, watching it all and laughing each time we draw. After 16 rounds, Shizune pushes her chair away from the table and stands up. I could actually do the math about what the chances are of drawing 16 times in a row, but I don't want to do that. But it's pretty unlikely. The chances of that are pretty low, even with only 3 options.
Enough of this, Hee-chan. I see what I have been doing wrong. This will all be over in the next round, so brace yourself, okay? Okay. I have studied your thought processes, and I see how you play. I'm anticipating your next move, and will combat it expertly.
Okay, we're gonna win. This is all news to me, as I can't remember what we are doing this over. It's the veal cutlet and our pride. Shizune grins confidently, a look of fearless daring on her face. Her cool eyes flash with pure competitive spirit as she draws her hand back, guarding me, wordlessly, to do the same. Her form is amazing, like a professional bowler or something. Just to throw a hand motion. How is that even appropriate? What does it matter if a form is like a professional bowler when we're doing rock, paper, scissors? It would only be amazing if we were playing bowling, right? 2 papers. Her face! Shizune's body immediately goes slack, and she rubs her temple with a look of exasperation on her face as she lets out a sigh so long it sounds like a tire deflating. I realize I've gotten a lot hungrier in the time we've doing this. We can just split it. I said that from the freaking beginning. I break the bread in half and offer one half of it to Shizune. She takes it. Thank you. Although now it actually feels like we both deserve it, because both were first fighting over it and we realized, alright, we're not gonna solve this, let's play over it. And then during the play, we also came to a tie, right? No matter how many times we played it. So the best possible solution is to just split it. She looks at the bread in her hand, studying it. Oh yeah, you got the most crushed part. But this feels hollow somehow. I took out the veal cutlets. Regardless of how she feels, she still eats it. All of a sudden, I see Misha observing the scene out of the corner of my eye.
Hee-chan, that was very romantic, I think.
Oh, come on. Is that romantic? I thought it's just common sense. She laughs and takes a bite of her second sandwich. We eat in silence for a while. Shizune and I manage to avoid any other contest, and then we go back to work. As I finish up the day's usual filing, I think to myself that this might be Shizune's way of trying to start this week on a high note. After all, tomorrow is when the real work will begin, and with her hands being literally full building stalls, she won't be able to talk very much. It will likely be pretty dull and tiring, like it was the first time around. I'm appreciative of her effort in that case. It's nice to have days like this, as a way of enjoying yourself before the days ahead. I think that was her idea as well. I also remember that I still have to get rid of Kenji's package. The damn thing is bulky, and somehow I've never been able to track him down since I picked it up. What if there's actually, something in it that he himself doesn't want? Or maybe he threatened the government so much, or is like a threat to the government, that the government sent him a package with spy equipment in it or like a bug in it, to try and spy on Kenji, and he just pawned it off on us instead because he knew that was gonna happen. After student council is adjourned for the day, I walk towards the vending machines to look for something to drink, parting from Shizune and Misha. It's a short trip, but after even just a few seconds, I start to get the feeling I'm not alone. A pair of hands cover my eyes.
Yes, who?
Shizune?
It's me, Hee-chan.
Yeah, I know.
Then why did you say it was She-chan? It's okay to be wrong, Hee-chan. You're too proud. Anyway, after student council, you don't usually have any plans, right? So you're just going to go straight to your dorm?
Where else would I go?
Okay, that's great. That's great, Hee-chan. I wanted to talk to you today, so this works out perfectly.
2 high school students, alone after classes, in a quiet, empty building, as the sun dyes the sky a romantic amber color. The cute girl says that she wants to talk. This can only mean 2 things. What a secretive and appealing situation. My imagination is buzzing. It's likely not going to be anywhere near as exciting as I am making it out to be, but it's fun to make it up that way, exactly. It's fun to hype the situation up in your head and then be disappointed when it turns out to be something entirely normal and entirely not what you imagined it to be. But it's fun thinking about the possibility of what it could be, Right, Misha? The popping sound of my canned coffee opening destroys any chance of maintaining such a cheesy mood, sounding louder than I'd ever thought imaginable, amplified by the context of the situation. I sigh in disappointment and relief. So, what is it?
Oh, actually, I'm a little behind in some of my classes. And if I don't catch up, it could be a problem. I can't put it off any longer. My teachers say that I have to really start thinking or taking things seriously. So I should listen. Especially because this is the third time. Sorry. I'm sorry, Hee-chan.
Why are you apologizing?
I won't be able to help you or Shi-chan with the student council for a few days. It'll only be for 2 or 3 days. Really. I'll definitely try and come back as soon as possible. But
I can't say I'm happy about this. It's supposed to be getting really busy this week too, isn't it? That's some unfortunate timing. For a second, I want to ask if maybe Shizune could pull some strings to get her out of it. But Misha looks so genuinely apologetic about it. It would be pretty dickish of me to say something like that. Besides, if she says it's something that can't be put off any longer, I'm inclined to believe her, considering how surprisingly serious she can be with the student council duties. Yeah, I see. It's okay. You managed with just Shizune and yourself last year, didn't you? So I'm sure I'll be able to as well. Don't worry about it.
really? Thank you, Hee-chan. Really? Yay, yay! I didn't know Hee-chan would take it so well. I thought you would be worried with how there's going to be so much work with Tanabata coming up and everything.
Damn, she knows me oddly well.
But Hee-chan is so composed. I'm glad.
Yeah, you're sort of right. I was thinking about it, but it's not that big a deal. I'm not going to freak out over that. It's going to be a little annoying passing that pad back and forth to talk to Shizune though.
Hee-chan, just tell Shi-chan that you can use sign language too. I don't understand why you won't.
Not yet. I can understand most things already, but I want to be really sure. Actually, I wouldn't mind. The secrecy is killing me too, and it would be nice to be able to talk to her in a real conversation. Don't worry, I'm going to have to tell her eventually. I want to. Actually, I'm trying to think of a good opportunity for it.
That won't be a problem, Hee-chan.
Why not?
Well, because I kind of told Shi-chan that you could understand her. She was worried about the same thing, that you wouldn't be able to understand each other. So, I was worried, but it worked out fine in the end after all.
No, Misha! Oh god. She robbed us of the opportunity to surprise Shizune with this? Because it's supposed to be some sort of grand gesture, not necessarily of love, but at least of friendship, and at least of a willingness that Hisao shows to be able to communicate with her on her terms, right? You know, because sign language is kind of her language, if you were to compare it to, like, you know. So it shows it is this big gesture for Hisao, and he wanted to surprise her with that, and Misha now robbed us of that chance. So that actually kind of sucks. I lose it. Ah!
Do you know how stupid I look now? I sat there for like half the damn day acting like I couldn't read sign language. And you are now seriously telling me that she knew the whole time that I could? She was probably thinking, oh, this guy's a complete jackass, pretending he can't understand me. I just made a total ass of myself. How could you let me do this?
Misha frowns, seemingly lost for words on realizing that I'm taking this differently than she might have expected. She doesn't speak again until after seeing that I've calmed down.
But, Hee-chan, I think this is definitely for the best.
Even if she thinks it's for the best, I don't think it was hers to reveal. It wasn't her sort of secret to reveal, you know? It wasn't up to her to determine, like, oh, right, well, you know, Hisao has been learning sign language, he knows it well enough for them to communicate. Alright, I'm gonna tell. Like, that wasn't hers to do. It's Hisao's, you know? It was his choice to learn sign language. It was his choice to make a secret out of it. It was a choice for him to reveal it to her at some point when he feels he's capable enough. And she just completely stole that moment. And not only that, but she kind of made him look like, indeed, an idiot. But I feel like instead of just telling Shizune directly first, Misha should have just, you know, told or asked Hisao first and then tried to convince him, like, I think you should really tell her now, rather than telling her herself. But, I don't know. I mean, I do agree with her. Obviously, this is one of the better opportunities to be able to tell her, like, oh, I do know sign language now. And Shizune and Misha, or Shizune and Hisao are going to be alone for a couple of days. So it is definitely useful for them to understand each other and to be able to communicate quicker than just writing on a notepad. So I do agree this is the best opportunity, but once again, it was Hisao's to reveal and tell, not Misha's. She says without batting an eye, having waited patiently through my panic to say it. The cheerful delivery of her words make it seem like she sliced out the time between when she dropped the bomb on me and now. It's pretty funny in a way. You have such a one-mind track, you know that?
Yes!
The damage is done. If Misha can believe that things will work out with such unflinching surety, then maybe it's worth giving it a chance. And if things don't work out, I'll run as fast as I possibly can. To try and make it up to me anyway, just in case. She offers to buy me another drink from the vending machine. It's a very small token of apology, but I suppose it's a thought that counts, and her thoughts are sincere. Plus, it's a free drink, so I accept. A free drink is always nice. I throw back my daily fistful of pills with a glass of water. After a solid 8 hours of sleep, I wish I could get that. I really don't know what I was so afraid of last night. I drew a particularly large tablet in half. I continued to rationalize my worries away. Shizune knew I was taking sign language classes all day yesterday, and didn't make a big deal out of it. She might be mute, but that doesn't mean she can't make her feelings known. No, in fact, it seems like she's all the more direct for it. She doesn't beat around the bush or hold back. She always makes herself clear unapologetically, so there can be no mistakes. So, if she wasn't mad then, it's unlikely she would be at all. And on top of that, I didn't do anything wrong anyway. I don't think Shizune would be mad at all. Why would you be mad at a person learning sign language to be able to talk with you? That makes no sense. I can understand her like thinking a bit weirdly about the fact that he has been hiding it, but that's just kind of the grand gesture that he wanted it to be, you know? I feel like, I don't know, it's a weird thing to suddenly completely switch over from the usual way of communicating, which I assume if Misha isn't there is just through writing on notepad. But they don't do that very often anyway, so it's not that big of a change, right? It's just that before they would have to talk a lot through Misha, and now it's just they can talk without going through Misha. They can just talk directly through sign language. So yeah, even if he hit that, like, imagine if he hadn't hit that, then it would probably be like I feel like a really tough process, because that would make talking even more difficult, because then Misha might assume at certain points that Hisao does understand her, and Hisao has to say, no, I actually don't. And then they have to go back to Misha, and then Misha tells it back, and it just goes this even more awkward back and forth from Shizune, thinking Hisao understands, Hisao doesn't, and then goes back to Misha, and then it goes back to Hisao. Like, it's such unnecessary steps that it's kind of weird. Whereas, you know, if he fully does understand it, it's so much easier. Shizune signs something, and then Hisao understands it. Easy, done, right? So I think this is... I personally wouldn't have been mad about that if a person did that, or learned it for me and kept it a secret until he felt comfortable enough to talk to me in sign language. But Shizune, I don't think Shizune is unpredictable, but some girls can be, and some girls get mad over almost virtually nothing. So the possibility is there, but I don't think she would be mad about it. But as that fear of mine recedes, the thought of spending a couple days with Shizune without Misha takes its place. I hadn't really thought about it yesterday, but the idea becomes more and more intimidating. It's true that I can understand sign language pretty well, but I would definitely hesitate to say I can understand it above a basic level. And if she were to speed up her signing, which she does quite a bit, I don't think I could keep up, but Shizune can take that into consideration and sign slower if he doesn't understand it, or phrase things in a different way, sign it in a different way, so that Hisao would understand it. Signing, too, is not my strong suit. Doing both at the same time, like Misha can, is still a distant dream. That's true. I actually didn't take into account that Hisao has to sign to her as well. Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be quite a bumpy conversation. It's not going to be very smooth, but at least it's a way of communicating without Misha there.
Hee-chan!
What?
Don't forget, you said you would help out building stalls today. Behind the school after classes are over, okay?
I know.
Last time you helped out, Hee-chan, we really appreciated it. This time, it's even more important, so skipping out is unforgivable, okay?
I want to ask why that is, but there isn't any opportunity to. Besides, Misha is behind in her classes, so it seems like a bad idea to distract her now that I know that. I can always ask her at lunch, which is what I end up doing.
Because, Hee-chan, a festival that celebrates a town is exactly what it sounds like. It's to celebrate your home and its history. Tanabata is different. It's for wishes and lovers.
Ooh, lovers.
That definitely makes it more important, doesn't it? Yeah, naturally it would be.
Is that really what it's for, though?
Hee-chan, you have no sense of fun.
She puffs out her cheeks in displeasure before blowing the air out like a deflating balloon.
You have to appreciate things like that, even if it's just an excuse to eat interesting things and dress up in the end. I'll be disappointed in you if you don't, okay?
Before I can say anything, she turns to the side to inhale a croquette. After classes, I meet Shizune behind the school, where it seems she already set everything up sometime yesterday. She greets me with a short wave, and then with a flourish of the hammer, already in her hand, extends her arm towards the stalls behind her. Some of them already half completed. Others still haphazard piles of board bundled together with string. Isn't this the place? I feel like this is a place that's very familiar. It's been a while since wasn't it? We read the letter here, I think, in one of the routes. Maybe was it the Hanako route? I'm not entirely sure. As time passes, I realize the pills can only do so much. I still get way more tired than normal, or than should be normal. Luckily, Shizune's back is to me, so I can afford to take a lot of breaks without having to worry about her wondering why. When I stop and think about it though, I start to feel pretty guilty for taking advantage of her inability to hear that my hammer stopped banging. It's a terrible thing to be happy about. Her work ethic is admirable. It's obvious that it bores her, and even annoys her, but she doesn't slack on her pace. When she gets tired nailing a stall together with one arm, she switches to the other. Shizune. I feel like an idiot the second I say her name. I can't tell her what I think. There's a hammer in my hand as well, and in the end, I feel like I have to keep up with her. I can't slack off either, especially when it's just the two of us. There's no time to sign, no opportunity, not even for a compliment for a job well done. We'll save that for the end. Even something as casual as that would require me to put my hammer down, get her attention, and then sign it to her. A simple gesture turned into something so needlessly complex, like a single footstep taken on a road that's longer than first imagined. I've known her long enough to know this, and still forget it. The air is filled with the rhythmic knocking of nails being driven into wood. It's actually kinda nice after a while. To pass the monotony of the task at hand, I tried to match my hammering to Shizune's, then altering it to try and form a beat. Of course, she doesn't notice. It makes me wonder, does the lack of sound make this work seem more drawn out and boring to her? Is it strange, being unable to hear the results of her actions even though she feels the vibrations through her fingers? Or having no concept of sound, does it bother her at all? Distracted, I don't notice Shizune sneaking up on me until her head pops into view. I think it would only bother her if she at some point, like, do we actually know? God damn it. Do we actually know if she was deaf from birth or not? Because I feel like once you've actually had the ability to see or hear and then lose it, that is much more difficult to get used to, and then you tend to miss not having the ability to hear or see anymore, right? But when you've had it at some point and then lost it, it's just so much more difficult because you know what you had and what you have lost. Whereas if you're born blind, if you're born deaf, that's just the way that you've always been. So you've gotten used to it at a very young age, and that's always how you've known things to do, and it's how you've gotten used to living. That's just how you do things, you know. You've gotten used to that inability. So I feel like it probably doesn't bother her as much because she has nothing to compare it to. Taking a break? Yeah, I guess. Okay, let's do that. You can understand sign language. Oh, we're actually signing to each other? That makes it more convenient for both of us. Even though you hid it from me, don't tell me you're gonna be mad about that, Shizune. Why? Uh-oh. Why what? Why did you decide to take sign language for you? Her eyes don't break off from mine even for a second. If she needs to read my response, my peripheral vision is good enough. Once she has something in her gaze, she doesn't look away. It's strange how piercing her eyes can be, dark as a lake at night. Because I wanted to. It seemed like it would come in handy. And it did, didn't it? Yes. Sorry, I didn't catch any of that. See? This kind of thing still comes up now and then. I wish Misha was here. She has work to make up for, doesn't she? That might be partly my fault. Misha doesn't need supplemental lessons. Wow, how the hell did she sign supplemental? Her grades aren't the best, but she understands how the decisions she makes affects others. That puts her ahead of many people. Especially certain blondes. Uh-oh. Was that a shot at Lily, Shizune? Really? That was unnecessary. Ah. She doesn't forget things easily. Oh god. Does she really hold grudges? Your sign language is very good. You're learning oddly fast. I've been taking classes for a while now, and it's kind of easy to pick up after a while, through immersion, or osmosis, that kind of thing. It's not too bad. And if I'm really stuck, Misha is there too. Yeah, we don't understand this. I guess I spoke too soon. I didn't understand any of that. Time to backpedal. Well, yeah, it's not actually that easy. It's actually hard as hell. Like trying to pick up broken glass. But I guess in some ways it's interesting as well. Like an adventure. Well, no. Picking up broken glass is not an adventure. No, what the hell are you even saying, Hisao? Sure it is. It's just as challenging. It's not... Okay. I can understand the challenging part of it, picking up the broken glass without cutting yourself, but I wouldn't call that a fucking adventure, okay? If you use a dustpan and a broom, it's not. I feel frustrated and sad. When I look up, I notice she has a can of soda in her hand. Where did you get that? I forget to sign it, but she understands anyway, following my eyes, and produces another one from behind her back. She tosses it in my direction, and I catch it with both hands. This route is awesome. I don't have to pay for any of the food or drinks that I get. Shizune or Misha always provides me with some. I brought an extra one for you. She pauses to slide her fingernail under the tab of her can and pop it open before setting it aside for a moment. If you are going to try and help me so much, then I have to look out for you too. It's only natural. If you're going to learn sign language, that is something entirely different. I'm naturally going to be impressed. What separates the two is obligation. I'm very happy. She downs her drink in one go, stretches her arm behind her back, and jumps to her feet. Okay, back to work. That was a short break. And like that, it's over. Shizune returns to her work with the same energy as before, the lingering traces of a smile on her face, the only evidence that she had taken a break at all. As I do the same, I think that Misha was right in saying everything would work out for the best. Everything so far seems to be going in that direction. Why is everything turning so freaking dark? That was actually really well done. And it was so well done that it creeped me out a little bit. Like it got dark really gradually slower, right? It just was light and then slowly kept turning darker. I was thinking like, what the fuck is going on? But that was really well done. Misha swings by as it starts to get darker, looking just as tired as I feel. And Shizune decides to stop for today. As we cover the day's work and go our separate ways, I look at how fluidly they talk to each other and how easily they laugh together as they walk to their dorm. It makes me appreciate Misha's skill at sign language more. I wonder if I'll ever reach that level, or if I even will have the time to.